everyone. Hope you can hear me. Let me make sure this is on. Very good. All right. The first thing I just want to mention here, hope everyone's doing well, is this one, these three panels from The Amazing Spider-Man early on. I don't know which issue, maybe issue 10. I'm not 100% sure, but I clipped it out at a certain point from Comixology. It's when J. Jonah Jameson admits to himself, at least, that he's envious of Spider-Man. That's why he, hates him. So he said, later, after his office has emptied out, am I always to be thwarted, embarrassed, frustrated by Spider-Man? I hate that costume freak more than I've ever hated anyone before. I'll never be contented while he's free. All my life I've been interested in only one thing, making money. And yet Spider-Man risks his life day after day with no thought of reward. If a man like him is good, is a hero, then what am I? I can never respect myself while he lives. Spider Man represents everything that I'm not. He's brave, powerful, and unselfish. There's that word again. The truth is, I envy him. I, J. Jonah Jameson, millionaire, man of the world, civic leader, I'd give everything I own to be the man that he is, but I can never climb to his level. So all that remains for me is to try to tear him down, because heaven help me, I'm jealous of him. Hey, Floaty. I love that. It's pretty. I mean, it's spelled out a little too much, but at the same time, it's interesting to see him, fess up at least to himself, um, what the deal is with the Spider-Man. He knows he's good, and therefore, if he hates him, then he is no damn good, and he hates that he knows it, and he's explicit about it. But I could never climb Evening Lux. I thought that was pretty cool. I put it on my desktop a little while back. This is um, I posted this a little while back. Let's see if I can get it smaller here. Okay, I think I can get it smaller here. This was to show, for those of you who've read The Infidel or who've not. This is from one, before and after. Frank Warner, watching Americans fall to their deaths on the Twin Towers. Ex-Muslim Islam critic Frank Warner watches in horror as his fellow Americans fall to their deaths on 9/11. Lady says this is one of those occasions where the extended text is needed in a comic. You're talking about the J. Jonah Jameson? Because I like it. I mean, it's however explicit it is, I do like it. And it caught my eye because I reread. I can't say how many times I reread those early 38 issues and three annuals that did go, plotted the most of and penciled linked to all the other ones. But it seemed like that was something, clearly having to do with Rand, and I believe he must have written that out in the plot at least. And Stan Lee wrote it out in the dialogue. And you know what? I mean, look, for all their value, however much I admire Ditko and stuff, I think he needed Stan Lee to write the dialogue for his work, because you saw his work later on. Happy's Funhouse says, "Hey Bosch, have you heard of Splato Del Gato Comics? I know the name. They also go by Comics Matter on YouTube. Your boy Zach, right? That's Richard C. Meyer. Why Happy's Funhouse? Hey, Mike. How's it going? Hail, Brian. I'm just gonna, hang out with you guys. If you guys want to do a AMA, ask me anything, go for it. I'll try to answer as thoroughly as I can. Let me know. By the way, I made got a number of backers today, which is really, really cool. I love that. Love when that happens. Got a number of backers today. Let me just find this thing here quick. Okay. Why is it like that? I'm still in the featured picks, which is awesome. Yeah, I got like I think 5 backers today, which is awesome. Thanks a lot, guys. Much appreciated. Um, I can find out exactly what was sold later because I have to add those to my email list. Hope you guys can hear me well. Okay. So why do you ask Happy's Funhouse? Because I got my thoughts on your boy Zach. Splato is your boy Zach. Okay. Lisa in Arizona, glad to have made it to a live broadcast. Hey, Lisa. How's it going? Glad to have you here. Happy's Funhouse says, yes, that guy. I was just wondering because the both of you have heightened my appreciation of comics. That's great to hear. And your thoughts on him. Are you asking for my thoughts on him, or do you know about my thoughts on him? Because I don't really talk about him much. I used to listen to him a lot. He's tough to listen to now. He's gone the path of being he used to be anti SJW, now he's anti SJW, and is I think unfairly, at least for some, trying to claim that they're all bullshitters. For one thing, if he couldn't recognize that they were all bullshitters when they were pushing the bad comic Isom, then what the hell? He should have known it then. That's when I realized, I said, oh, wow, I read Isom, that shit sucked. And these guys are pushing it as if it's good? No. Brian said, a lot of people are not familiar with your work. Have you worked on other comics? Brian, you're asking me? I have. I worked, Table for One, my first graphic novel, 21 years ago. The Infidel. I got 3 comics, 100 pages worth. And by issue 3 of this new relaunch, it'll be all new material. I worked on Propaganda, which was a collection of a lot of my blog posts as I was studying Islam, as I was studying jihad, building that 1,000-page Bible of Pigman, my story, all the history that I learned, all of the theorizing about Islam and so on. I spent a number of years on that because I wanted to make sure I didn't fuck around. I want to make sure that I knew this enemy intimately before I was going to try to take him on and defeat him. And then I collected that 2009. So it's 2004, 2009, and then 2011, the first issue of Pigman, 2012, I think the second one, 2015, the third one. And then for 14 years, I've been drawing cartoons and writing essays for publications from Breitbart to PJ Media to Front Page Magazine, mostly for Front Page Magazine. I'm talking a few thousand cartoons at least. Jihad Watch, the Limbaugh Letter, I did 2, and I was going to be a regular for them, which I would have loved. And I guess when Rush died, that was it. I assumed that they stopped publication of that. But yeah, so that, and then also I got 6 books as well. My 2 collections of my Marvel cartoons, my 2 Peaceful Death Threats books, and then also Islam Bitches, in addition to Table for One and Propaganda. So, and then on top of that, a few years ago, I wrote a script for a 500-page adaptation of a novel, and I drew 188 pages of that, and it was all for naught ultimately, unfortunately. But I spent a good time on that, and now I'm doing something else. I'm up over 200 pages of doing this. I wrote the script for about a year, and I had to go back and revise it, bring it down a little more, and now I'm over 200 pages of the drawings. So, and then I'm releasing this. So I've had my work out there. I've had, I don't know, 600, 700 pages, I think, total in terms of the comic book art, and some that will never be seen. And then also hundreds of pages through all my books. So, in terms of cartoons, thousands, individual cartoons, political cartoons, essays, I don't know, dozens maybe across the years. Sup, who me? Happy's Funhouse says, those are good points about Zach. I just see the work you guys do is similar, so I thought maybe some sort of collaboration might be cool. I'll tell you about that one second, Happy's Funhouse. I tried to get Richard C. Myers' Zack to check out Pigman, and he called it stupid. He dismissed it as stupid, and I called him stupid for dismissing it as stupid. I resented him for that. I said, all right, fuck you. I don't, if you're going to dismiss my work unseen, the way you accuse Critical Drinking and everyone of doing that, they don't watch their movies, right? And they go out there and pretend that they know. Well, you did the same with me. You completely dismissed my comic, my character at face value. I'm assuming it has something to do with you knocking up a Muslim woman and having a Muslim child, and telling us for some reason that you walk around with her in New York and she has a headscarf. People look at her. Why does she have a headscarf? I mean, could you talk her mom out of it, or at least when she's with you, take off the headscarf and tell her that that's not good to wear? So I'm thinking he probably has a soft spot for Islam or something along those lines, and maybe try to take offense for his Muslim family members, which some people have done to me. That's possible. But I will say I really enjoyed listening to him years ago. He clearly hit a nerve because comics were so bad that someone had to come out and say something, and he did on videos. And I agree with a lot of it. Some of his tastes a little off in certain movies and stuff, but overall, I said, okay, this is a value here. And I used to comment in the comment section 7, 8 years ago now. I was always on the outskirts of a comic skate. I always had my way, right? I have my email list, and I send them. If a new book comes out, I send them. I get orders and do my printer. I never thought about crowdfunding. Why? I don't know. I just never did. But it's great, and I'm really enjoying this entire process. Really enjoying it, and I don't know. It's interesting to me. It's like just asking people, you know, help me back this up. Help me try to get this out there. Help me try to make it a reality out there and push it in a bigger way than it has been. Um, I think it's awesome. So yeah, so in terms of that collaboration, Happy House, I doubt it. And also one thing, he threw his early Jawbreakers comics out to the audience. Said, "Hey guys, here's a thing. Check it out. Maybe if you have some, criticism, let me know." I took the time out to give him my criticism, and he never got back. I thought that wasn't cool. And then also, that's it really. So it was that, and then a few other things. And I more or less I phased out of watching his stuff. But he clearly was onto something. And right now, I think he's on this different path where he says he wants to knock out people who liked him for years. I don't know. Someone said something along those lines. It sounds really bad. His attitude is pretty rotten in terms of people who view him and people who watch him. He's quick to ban people. He's quick to do that. I ban only the ones that come here with pure poison, with no virtue. They're out, absolutely out. But those who might have a criticism of something that I might be saying or doing, they want to argue like that punk the old day, I let him go for a while until he basically quoted me, basically trying to attribute a quote to me that wasn't the case, so I had to ban him. I don't tolerate that. Egon the Dragoncock. Hey, Egon. Hey, Bosch, I have seen you. Have you seen Jeremy Jr.'s work in the first 3 years of Dazzler? I did. It looks different than any of his other work I've seen. Yeah, it's not good. Alfreda Alcala, I think, inked it. Not good. There was always an element there. You could always see underneath any inks of the old school inkers over Jeremy Jr., you could see something about him was coming through still. It was something about it. So yeah, it'll be. I did see that. I saw his Kiss comic as well, and I don't know if you guys saw that. He drew Kiss, which was funny. He drew the cover. What was it? In the 130s, I believe. Uncanny X-Men with the first appearance of Dazzler. I believe it was the first appearance of Dazzler in the X-Men. He penciled it. Terry Austin inked it. It was an awesome cover. Now that looked good, but the other ones with bad inker now. Also, that first, what was it? Contest of Champions, the first, I think, real Marvel, like, crossover before Secret Wars, a few years before Secret Wars at least, maybe 5 years, or maybe a few years, a couple of years. And again, I like the art. I like what he did there, but the inker was just wrong, all wrong. Pablo Marcus, I think. They busied things up way too much, and not in a good way. Like Terry Austin busies things up, but he adds great stuff. He makes everyone look great. Any kind of artist also. He'll ink Barry Windsor-Smith, Art Adams, Walt Thomas, and look great across the board. So yeah, I did see that Egon, and I didn't like it. I just didn't. The ink killed it. It's like the inks of Jim Mooney killing his Johnny Lee Jr.'s early issues of Spider-Man. Absolutely killed it. Mike TBW says, I took the $10 shipping savings for Canadian orders and forwarded to a trading card. Awesome. Excellent. Better in Bosch's pocket than the post office. I really appreciate it. So, Mike, you were able to do that because I did get back to a few of you guys in the private messages regarding the discount that I'm giving to Canadians. Because again, I measured it, weighed it, what it probably is going to be, and you guys will be at least $10 cheaper than overseas. So might as well. I mean, why not give you guys a break? I don't want to charge anyone more than I have to. And even for the ones in Europe, guys, when I collect those orders and I see that there's $5, $10, too much, I'll give that back as well. So we'll definitely discuss it. But the European ones, I got to say, I might need it all. I might need the full 35. We'll see. And I'm afraid I might even need more sometimes, because if you guys order 3 or 4 different things, it just, the more weight, the more expensive. But we'll see. They should be able to cover it. But we will see. Art says, your boy Bad Takes. He's a hollow husk of what he used to be. Yeah, man. It's just tough to listen, man. And I tried to listen after Ed Piskor killed himself. He wasn't murdered, Zach. He wasn't murdered. That's a silly take. It's a very, very flat out dramatic take, drama queen take. They murdered him. They didn't murder him. The idiot killed himself because he couldn't live in a world where he wasn't in that clique. It's so stupid, And when I was young, I used to get enraged when people did that. Enraged at people who killed themselves. And then after a while, I was like, you know what? We all go through a lot of things. Some people just can't quite make it. In their mind at that time, things can never, ever, ever get better. That's not true. It's a lie. It's a lie. They can always get better, but they believe it as if it's and the end-all, be-all belief. Things can never get better than right now, ever. Period. So it's terrible, and it's an emotional act more than anything else. It's not a comprehensive. It's not an intellectual act. It's not like, let me think. No, it's not a rational thing. It's just panic. Terrible. And once they make that decision, then they can act almost rationally in the act of it, in the way they go about it sometimes. But it's a painful thing. Clearly, they're not in their right mind. Clearly, they're not being rational. Clearly, to take one's life is like the worst. I don't know, one of the worst things anyone can do. To end your own life when absolutely it can be better. Things can get better. SXS says, Zach did good work in the past, but his taste isn't great, and neither are his comics. Jawbreakers could have been way bigger. I imagine so. I think I was out of the loop when I think I found out after the fact that John Malin drew the Jawbreakers. Is that right, guys? I think so. But yeah, I've seen little bits here and there of stuff, and not that good. Stories aren't that good. And then I saw him, I don't know what it was. It was him and Chuck Dixon and Matt Barr doing Rock and Roll Ninja. Who did what? I'm assuming Chuck and Zach co-wrote it. I don't know. Doesn't sound appealing to me at all. And there's detail, and then there's bad detail. Ethan has sharp, well-defined detail where it's not haphazardly put in there just for the hell of it. It's actually detail of actual things. What I saw from Matt Barr in the black and white art from Rock and Roll Ninja, it was detailed, but it was choppy to the point where you're like, what's what? I don't know what's, if you look close, you might, okay, I think I might, that's bad detail. It's very bad. Happy's Funhouse says that sucks to hear about what Zach thought of Pigman. Now, I can't even say that that's what he thought about Pigman. The fact is, he didn't want to think about it at all. He just completely dismissed it. And I presented it as something pretty unique. I said it takes on jihad. It takes on. I think he took exception and said, "Hey man, they take on like what was it? An Islamic group, Boko Haram, not Boko Haram. I forgot, but anyway, like, hey man, I take on this." I said, fine, but I take on the ideology. I take on everything about it. I take on not just a particular terrorist group. I take on the actual ideology. We went back and forth, and he was real nasty, and he pissed me off. And I called him out publicly on Twitter at the time, years ago, and this is like 7 years ago, and then also Facebook. And I think people got pissed at me also. Like, hey, I don't play that game. I don't play the game of, well, you know what? I don't want to lose my spot here. No, I don't. I don't play that game. If I did disagree with someone on something, I'm going to call them out on it. That's it. I have no hesitation to do that. And he was way out of line. Just stupid, really, flat out dumb. Happy Spinner says that sucks to hear about what Zach thought of Pigman. I really dug Jawbreaks, and Rock and Roll Ninja, and his videos critiquing comics made me look at them in ways I hadn't, much like your Toad videos. And I appreciate it. And again, I used to watch his things very, very closely, and I enjoyed them. It was fun to do, while I was drawing and stuff, and hearing in the background, taking my walks, someone saying the things that needed to be said. Those who are working for Marvel and DC can't say it publicly. They're working for them. They get paid for them. But this guy can. It's important, And I think had he had more ability, maybe he would have getting a little more credibility, I think. Because what I've seen from some of the stuff, I don't really like it. At least what I think he used to try to draw also, and that wasn't working. Goody Two Shoes expresses something that a lot of people hold. Your boy brought me into Comicsgate, so I have a soft heart for him. A lot of people do. Ethan does. Others do. No matter what he says and does. Even if he dismisses a lot of what's going on in Comicsgate, even if he is cold and distant to Comicsgate now, they still have this affinity for him. When he dismissed Pigman in that way and called it stupid, I say fuck him. I don't give a shit what he says. I really don't. Because that's just a stupid thing to say. A guy who allegedly loves comics, fought in the war, understands this threat to some extent, and should be pleased. I think he even said at one point, like, why aren't the comic books taking on, this enemy? Say, hey, bro, I am. And I told him what it was. I think that's when he said it. That's stupid. Pissed me off. To me, it was so obvious that I would have to wrap my anti-John Super on pigskin leather and call him Pigman. It was just, it was so obvious to me that I was afraid someone had thought of it already. You know what I mean? And on top of that, I anticipated people doing it after the fact, having their own pig version of anti-John Super. And it never happened. Always surprised me. Always surprised me. Happy as Funhouse said, do you think John Romita Jr. has fallen off in terms of quality as of late? I kind of do. Yeah, he has. Mainly in faces. His faces are pretty bad. I don't know what's going on with that. The buildings are as great as ever. The perspective, the backgrounds, the storytelling is as good as ever. Sometimes the body's a little wanky, but the faces are what really hurts it. But then you look at some of the Daredevil covers at times that he's doing right now. He's doing Daredevil covers consistently. Pretty damn good. A little reminiscent of his old. There were a few covers that did which were really good, actually. Let me show you guys what I mean. Let's see. Like this. I mean, this is good. This is recent. Last August. I think it's really good. That's Jeremy Jr. Last August. I think it's really good. Brings to mind the old Daredevil that he's drew. A little different, but I like it. I like it a lot. He's done a number of these covers over the years now. Show a few more. This one also. I like it. It's good. But yeah, the faces are a little jacked up these days. I don't know why. He seems to have found that's his thing now. He's not budging. It's like, okay, you should never get worse. And I know people say, well, he's older now. Well, Walt Thompson's a lot older now than he was 40 years ago. He's still doing great work. The Ragnarok series is great. Look at this also, another cover that he did, which brings to mind that old, Daredevil look. I like it. But yeah, Happy's Funhouse. The faces are pretty jacked up. I don't know why he does that. I just don't know. He never did that before. His faces were pretty impeccable. I mean, he was, I think, channeling his father in a lot of ways. When he drew Peter Parker, when he drew Mary Jane and everyone, it looked great. And now everyone has somewhat of a underbite, like this with their teeth, underbite, big noses on almost everyone. And he don't even look like that, John Romita Jr., because sometimes artists, project themselves onto the characters. I don't even think his nose is that big. I just don't think so. I mean, not as big as some of the characters he draws. So yeah, the faces are jacked up, but I think everything else is pretty much sound. Happy's Funhouse. I think again, the backgrounds are solid. The storytelling is as great as ever. I'm not the storytelling is great. You mean whatever you want to say about the bodies and stuff and the faces in particular, which I agree. I think his storytelling is great, and that's his saving grace. Um, Brian Sunnyville says, I will say when I first saw The Infidel, I dismissed it as well. Getting your perspective as to why it was made me give it a fair look. Your writing is really good. I'm invested with Brother Story. Thanks a lot, Brian, and I appreciate it. When you say that when you first saw The Infidel, meaning the first idea, maybe the first image or something, or the because again, it's go out there and just call it stupid. A fellow, he was an aspiring wannabe comic book professional, Zach, at that time. I don't know if he had released. I don't think he had released anything at that time yet. I've been doing this for a while. I'm an Eisner nominee. I've been, I got endorsements from Toth and Chuck Dixon and Jim Shooter and others. I have some kind of pedigree. And again, it's that's why I think for myself, it's like it's given that was the way to go up against this enemy, to write and draw a story about this big beast of a man dressed up in pigskin leather. He in his private life he writes actually just writes against Islam Jihad, and then he acts against it in his superhero persona. So I appreciate it. One thing I do get more than anything else is from people who read it, they really like the story, and some people liked art too. But it's a story that keeps them in, and that's what you want, because what comes first? The story. That's the first step, and if that sucks, doesn't matter what comes after. I don't care if you have the greatest artist in the world. It's not gonna it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be solid. This way, it has a chance of being good. If the base is good, if the story is good, it starts there and then it goes up and then all the other things. But the base has to be rock solid. So thanks a lot, Brian. Appreciate it. Thanks for giving it a chance, even though you weren't crazy about it. I appreciate it. Mike TV Dub says Zach wrote Pandemic with the laughable archetype POC female character with a shaved head size. He's not immune to criticism as well. Hold on. He did something, meaning as a joke, he did that, Mike TV Dub? Or was it a sincere thing that he did? And in terms of he's not immune to criticism as well, absolutely. I mean, I saw the early stuff. It was not good. The Jawbreakers. He drew two guys pushing maybe a big log or something, right? And the way he did it was an angle where a guy on the other side of the other guy looked like he was behind him, pumping him from behind. And I said, be careful, man. You know, it looks a little gay. And I laughed about it. Sent him the stuff and, but never heard back. Happy's Funhouse says, okay, Goody Two-Shoes says, Jeremy Jr. on the most recent Spider-Man was honestly not good at all. I couldn't really get it. I looked through it. I lost. Stories weren't great. The art at times, again, there were still saving grace when he has these really cool throwbacks to where he was years ago. And I don't know if he's not really interested, which I don't think he is. I think it's like I'll draw Spider-Man because I want to stay in the spotlight. John, you've done it all. Please, man, please just do your own stuff. Get away from Spider-Man. It's a corporate character. I love the character, but they're not doing him well. They're not doing him justice. They're not. Even though I did like the cartoon that they just released, which has been dismissed by, it seems like all the entire crowd. I know, believe me, some of the stuff they're doing, some of the decisions are really stupid. I like the simplicity. I like the stylization of it all. I like the way Peter looks. I like the way they made the suit, like a John Romita Sr. style. Daredevil was really cool, and Charlie Cox did the voice to Daredevil in the cartoon. I think that was awesome. So yeah, of course, the elements of Norman's black, Kurt Connors is a black female, Harry's black. All these characters is really stupid, and you flip it the other way, they will cry racism to death. So it's really stupid on that level. But overall, considering it, it's pretty good, guys. I think it's worth watching. Call me whatever you want for saying that, but I think it's worth watching. And I like the animation. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I like it. There's a guy, I forgot his name, but he's really good. Romano, is that his name? He designed the entire thing, and there's something really charming about it, about the animation and the way Peter looks and the way Peter acts. It's still Peter Parker. I think it's Peter Parker. They didn't mess around with him. He's a damn good kid, and he has no real guidance. So he has to have guidance from Norman Osborn, who's at this point, I don't know what the situation is, but he's a little underhanded, but I don't think he's a full-blown evil at this point, at least. But it's good. It's worth watching. Happy's Funhouse says the Ed Piskor situation is tragic on all ends. The reactions to it, especially so. Yeah, well, he should never have done it. He did that to himself. No matter what anyone did to him, no matter what the witch hunt was, he did it to himself like an idiot. It pissed me off more than anything else. It's like, what? You got a week of this shit? We deal with a lot of stuff. I've dealt with far worse than he ever dealt with. And he's to take himself out. Never would I ever dream, of thinking even of it. It's stupid, but again, it tells you where he was in terms of that's his life, period. Now, my life is comics. I've dedicated my life to this. I love it. But if I've already missed opportunities. If I miss more opportunities, what? Can it get worse for me? I guess, but it's I'll never have the opportunity to draw those characters that I loved. I never will. But yeah, it is tragic and unnecessary. Happy's Funhouse, because the dummy could have held it together, be in pain, absolutely, get some help if he had to, and also say, you know what? Realize that the side that I've been on, that I've been promoting, that I've been smearing the other side with, where I wouldn't even shake, Ethan Van Sciver's brother's hand because he's a Sciver. He's a Van Sciver. That's a nasty fuck, And maybe for himself, if he had a little more nerve, a little more healthy ego. I mean, healthy ego, actual confidence. So he would have said, okay, I think I'm going to write a new story about this entire mad dog mob that tries to destroy people's lives within a comic book industry. I've seen it happen to others. I cheered her on, but maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe if he had a little more insight like that, because that would be a comic that I would love to read from him. Because all this stuff, graphic novels about rap, no, I can't stand rap. Um, so yeah, that would have been something worth him writing for. The destruction of himself and his career, and you know, of course, he probably would never ever have even thought he was, you know, let me check out what Comicsgate's doing. He probably wouldn't have done that, but it would have been good for him. And you think Ethan would have rejected him? No, he would have had him on the show. Come on, let's talk it out. Let's talk why you dismissed my brother and didn't shake his hand. What the hell's that about? And then talk comics, and then who knows? Maybe hit it off, maybe be part of it. Um, it didn't have to happen, in other words. And I think Jim Rugg, we were talking about the old day, I think on Shane's show. It was Shanth and Shane. Somehow Ed Piscor came up and in terms of what was it? What was it? He didn't have to take himself out, that's for sure. I forgot what I said, but I said something about it. Hello, John. Hail, Willie D. And let me put this. Thank you, Billy T, very much, guys. Um, there's not an automatic way that this happens when I post this up. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize again, but if you guys have any thoughts, because it comes up as red every time now. But let me just do something quick, guys. 1 second, guys. Oh, you know what? That'll do for now. I'm trying to match the way it looks over there, even though this is a bright red, bright green. So thanks, Billy T. Much appreciated. Billy T. Super Chat $5 says, Hell Bosch, great night for a Pigman stream. LOL. Would love a John Malin Pigman cover variant, maybe for issue number 2. Congrats on the campaign. Thank you very much, Billy T. Much appreciated. And yeah, maybe just for that. I haven't had a chance to really talk to John, not one-on-one. I was on Ballers last week, trying to pitch my book, and I was half awake. I was so tired. But maybe I'm thinking, this is going well for me. It's a 6-day, 186, backers, $12,200. It's very good. I'm very pleased with that. But I want it more. I want to go. I want to go the distance. I want to go to see how big I can get this, because ultimately, I believe once people actually read my comic, whatever preconceptions they have going in, once they read it, I think you guys will probably like it and be hooked and want to continue. And then I think issue 2 will be bigger. I hope to, at least. I hope it's bigger, and so on. And from that point, yeah, I can bring on, who knows, some covers, and however that comes about, we will see. And then people who back it also in Comicsgate might read it and be inspired to draw Pigman even more so at that point. So thanks again, Billy. Much appreciated. Thank you. Mike TBW says, yes, I canceled my initial purchase. Stripe refunded me within 5 minutes of my email, and then reordered the blood art cover and added trend. That's awesome. That's awesome. So that's a good option. That's a good option, because Luke wrote me back right away after I asked him, and I think if you were the one in the messages, you and someone else, and also someone else on X, I had to respond to. So that was really cool. Excellent. Brian Suddenly Old says, Matt can do good work when he's reined in and has strong direction. That's the thing, he needs that, clearly, because I saw some of the art. I saw some of his art. I could say it's good. And then I saw something with a really bad hand, the way he drew it. And again, there's no excuse for that. For a professional artist, there's no excuse to have a thumb going down this way, going down there. There's no excuse for that. I know we do, these superheroes and stuff, and all these characters, but you can't put this thumb down there. And that's what he did. And anyone who, even if you don't know art, he's like, oh, that looks wrong. So yeah, the guy's he's from what I saw, but it's tough to even be objective about his work. He's such a fucking freak. He really is. He's such a mad dog. It's like he's at war with everyone, including himself. You know, it's crazy. And he's so stupid also. Vicious bastard. Hamilton says Boko Haram, that's what it was. Is Nigerian Islamic terror. Yep. Boko Haram. Billion says, hail to my fellow CGers, blocked by Matt Barr, the holder of dick pics. Hail to my fellow CGers, blocked by Matt Barr. Are you blocked by him? Yeah. I guess he must have said something true. Happy's Funhouse says, are there any modern comics you think deserve more praise? Conan, as drawn by Roberto Della Torre. Is there's one comic, you know, that's the one in the mainstream release, relative mainstream, Titan Books, and then Comicsgate, Cyberfrog. I'm looking through the others right now. I got a stack of these books, and I've just been too busy. But I'm going to sit down and read them all, and they all look good. They all look good. Lepresti, Aaron Lepresti, the what was it? I should know the name. Sorry, but it was the werewolf that jumped out at me on that cover. I love werewolves. God, what was it called, guys? I should know. Apologize, Aaron. Apologize. But it looks good. That the Chanu from Graham and some other books. I will get almost anything from these guys, and then in mainstream again, I will get Roberto Della Torre drawing Thor. Sorry, drawing Conan, which is fantastic. As close to John Buscema as anyone has drawn, but his Conan is a little bulkier, which is a cool difference. It's like, okay, a little differentiation there, a little bulkier, which I like. And he's just a hell of an artist. What was I going to say? Something else. I'm trying to think. Greg Capullo, the Wolverine stuff. I'll buy almost anything he does. I got that Batman that Scott Snyder wrote, which was tough because I don't like Scott Snyder. I don't know what's up with his writing, to be honest. He talks about he has depression, this and that, and okay, okay, I can see it. I can see it, and also something else. I'm trying to think of mainstream artists out there. Well, comic books artists I will follow, like Simonson. I got I got his entire omnibus of the Thor, every single issue that they penciled, inked, and also, of course, wrote pencil inked, and then also wrote for I think a year with the Sal Buscema stuff, if not longer. And now he's back with Ragnarok. Volume 4 will start to come out this year. I think issue by issue, the way it did last time. It's awesome. It's as good as anything he's done. He hasn't missed a beat. He doesn't have to, and that's why well, they're older. So what? His art doesn't look to me. There's no letdown. And on one level, I think it's even better. The layouts, the way he's telling a story there, and then you got John Workman doing the lettering still. It's awesome. There's no excuse to do, worse work when you're older, unless there's something physically wrong with you. So unless something has happened to you, has affected you. Are there any? So yeah, I don't know. Happy's Funhouse. I'm trying to think. That's the only one that comes to mind. Conan, as drawn by Roberto Del Toro, and I love. Look, to me, writing is my thing. Stories is my thing, but I tell you, once the standard is there, and you have an artist like Roberto Del Toro drawing Conan, and then you have another artist drawing the next issue or two, and it's not up to par. It's tough. It's just tough for me to continue that. So I'm waiting for him to come back in some kind of arc. And then again, Greg Capullo, he draws a mean Wolverine, and the story is intriguing enough. Where it's like, okay, but the art is a star of that book clearly. I'm trying to think what else, man. I will follow John Romita Jr. just out of curiosity what he's doing. He's doing a Godzilla versus the Fantastic Four comic that's coming out next month. I'm gonna get it. There's no previews. I think Andy Kubert, one of the Kubert brothers, drew the cover. It's not that good. I'm not crazy about the Cubers. I'm just not. Um, I don't know. Mm, they're not their father really. Um, neither is John Ray Jr., but still, it's like I think he made a more of a name for himself and more of a stamp. I think than they have, and they keep clinging to popular titles, and that's it. X Men and whatever they can, whenever they can, Wolverine and stuff. And I just want to see John Ray Jr. at this stage just do his own stuff. He has a Schmuggy and Bimbo series in mind. It's supposedly a black and white 1970s comic with gangsters with a mystical element to it. Sounds interesting, funny. I would love it if he just focused on that. He's been talking about that for the last 15 years. Howard Chaykin is supposed to be, if not writing it, dialoguing it at least. I think it's an idea by John Ray Jr. And I saw some sketches of the guys, of the main characters. It looks good. It's a funny name, weird name, Schmuggy and Bimbo, 1970s New York. Sounds good. Um, Brian suddenly said, when I saw it in comic shops and the shop owner kind of talked it down as well in 2011. What are you referring to, Brian? If you could let me know. Because I had Table of One in the comic shops. I had that in previews, Diamond. I had it in a full page ad in there. I went all out for that. I knew it's my first book. I want to really push it. I had the quote from Toth. I had some really good blurbs, and right out of the gate, I think ultimately sold 2,000 in a very short period. Which, from what I gather, I, I I was there. I was at a convention. Say how many sold? I said 2,000. 2,000. They were like, "What the hell?" They're blown away, and I was like, part of me was like, "I want to sell a lot more. I want to reach more readers. That's not enough. That's not like." But looking at the way it is now, it's like that's a big deal to sell that many. If I get that here, I mean, I'll be ecstatic. I wish for those numbers now, Not that I mean, look, I never put it down, but I was like, that's big, I guess so. But I want a lot more than that. Um, so if you could let me know what you mean here, 2011, because when I saw it in comic shops and the shop owner kind of talked it down as well, 2011. I didn't have print copies of the Infidel Pigman then. I had digital copies. That's how I sold it first, and then a few years later, I had the print copies. 2017, I think. 2017, 18, 19. I think that's when I had the print copies for the first time. Um, so yeah, Brian's certainly old. SXS. Are you talking about the CG cartoon? I don't know what you referring to SXS, but if you could follow up, I don't know what that is. Are you talking about Camel Moon did something where he sold DVDs of, I guess, the voices of John and Shane and Ethan and make cartoons about it? Is that what you're talking about? And then he had a watch to sell? John says, just a heads up, Ballers on at 11:30ish tonight on Shane's channel. They usually have a good sized crowd of viewers if you have some extra time tonight. I will see, John. I don't want to keep hitting up to these guys for it, though. I was on Shane's channel twice, I think, this week. I want them to have their fun also. It seems like it's a show where they have their own clique, and I think they have a lot of fun. I'm not sure if it's my thing. I'm not sure if I can roll with it. I just don't know. I mean, I like being on, and look, I can take anything. Meaning, I'm not gonna take exception to things. People, that's their show. They do what they want. I just don't know if that will those kind of things will come up from me on my shows. So therefore, I might not be a great fit. Let's just say. But I do want to at some time. Like I was talking comics with Shane, and then with Shanth and Shane later on, and maybe with John. These guys. One thing we know about Comicsgate Kings, these guys love comics. You couldn't do it to the way that they do it and how good they do it if you didn't. These are lifers, and it's you cannot help but produce valuable work from that from a love of it. So thanks for the heads up, John. But I don't know. I definitely want to at some point maybe just chime in and see if I can get maybe one on one with John and just talk to him about comics, about Pigman, and fill him in on whatever he wants to know about it, and maybe even send him some of the PDFs and see if he wants to read it early on. We'll see, because John seems interested. He has said that he wants to draw, Pigman. That he wants to send it to me, and we'll see on his own initiative. I think just based on the concept, he had talked it up pretty damn well when he first heard about it. So that was cool. He'll Jimmy. Happy's Funhouse says, "Are you a fan of any horror comics? I got an idea for one, so I started looking for some inspiration while also looking out for do's and don'ts of comics. So any recommendations would be appreciated." I'm trying to think. Horror comics, horror movies. America Werewolf London. Um, I'm not into horror movies per se, but America Werewolf London transcended, I think, typical horror stuff. It was something. It was a flashpoint in terms of special effects. To this day, it has no one has touched it. It's the Michael Jordan of transformations from man to full blown wolf, not just a werewolf, but a on all fours, demon wolf. So I'm not really into horror per se. I mean, horror to me is like watching Silence of the Lambs. Hannibal Lecter is a horror character to me. Um, I'm not sure if I have just. Well, I have, Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein. I'm talking the ones from the 30s. I have those, and they're great. But horror comic, I don't know. I know people talked up Gene Colan's Dracula and stuff, and I'm not crazy about Gene Colan. Even though someone on my feed that I follow shows Gene Colan romance comic stuff, it's pretty damn good. I just didn't like the dragging weirdness of his body sometimes. The awkwardness always. The legs are way, the ankles, worm's eye. The leg looks big. It looks like people are dragging their legs, and everything is all shadowy and dark and a little off. It's a little strange. It's a little strange. I guess for horror, it would work. It doesn't necessarily work for superheroes, especially for like Daredevil back then, at least. He was a relatively light character. You know, he got darker and darker as time went on, especially when Miller took over. But it fit the character pretty damn well. So horror comics, I can't say Happy's Funhouse. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Hellboy, could that be considered a horror comic? Maybe. I don't know. SXS says rap is a disposable art form. Only white hipsters like Ed listen to 80s, 90s rap, hip hop, like in hip hop family tree. Yeah. It never appealed to me. I don't like it. I don't like rap music. I think it's shit. Yeah, I've been called a racist for it. I don't give a shit. How can you be racist if you say that? That is disgusting music. I can't stand it. It's vile. It's dirty. It's dark. It's violent. It's insulting. It's racist, and it sounds like shit. And the only time it has decent things is when they steal these beats from other actual musicians that can't sing. It's terrible. Yeah, not all. Okay, fine. I know one or two that's pretty good. There's a song called Giants. I think a British guy and one of the guys from Wu Tang, Wu Tang Gang or whatever it's called, and it's pretty good. I can't find it now. I had it. All my music was wiped off my files. I think I was trying to save space or something, and I made a terrible mistake. But I've been since able to get most of it back. Um, but yeah, I can't find it. It's called Giants. It's like a mixed. I don't know what it is. Like a alternative slash rap, and it's pretty good. I can do that. I can do comedy rap. I can also do. Let me show you quick. Now I'm not going to show you more than 30 seconds because I showed Il Pistino soundtrack. I got a little hit from YouTube. It's not a what do you call it? Um, a strike or anything, but still, I'm not Ben Folds, musician, I guess redid the Dr. Dre, bitches ain't shit. You know, you hear a white guy do that, and he's on the cover like this. It's funny. That's funny to me when like rap is so ludicrous that when someone mocks it, to me, then it's worth listening to. You can't revere that shit. It's terrible. Wraith of God. Thanks, guys. Wraith of God. Awesome. Um, Jimmy says, you are trending in a good direction. Just looking at YouTube membership to backers, you're getting at least 10% engagement level. That's awesome. That's awesome, Jimmy. Yeah, I think it is. I get really good interaction with you guys. I do appreciate you guys being here. Thank you very much. Wraith of God, thanks, guys. Totally forgot that, man. Um, yeah, so I got another ad here, and it seemed to be working. They seem to be working, guys. I got a handful of backers today, yesterday after I put the ads up, and I got a lot of shit for it also. Disgusting. You're disgusting. It's like so you're pro jihad. Interesting. You don't want to see jihad get it. Okay. Okay. Good to know. Brian Settlio said, I think you and Robert Geronimo could have an interesting conversation about the Crusades. Huh. Let me tell you my short take on the Crusades. It's when Muslims sacked Jerusalem. The Pope at the time decided, against his best wishes, maybe, or interest, that we have to stop them. We have to get them out of there and get it back. So they went to war, and they lasted for about 200 years, and it spilled over not just to Muslims and jihadists, but to Jews and to Christians who weren't that Christian and so on. And anyone who brings up the Crusades as comparable to the jihad, say the jihad's 1,040 years old and still on. The Crusades for a limited time, historically speaking, at least, and in a lot of ways they went against what Christianity advocates. You know, they didn't do it in the name of Jesus, let's just say, but I think it was a pope who said, "Nah, we can't let this stand. We can't just allow it to happen." And say, "Okay, love thy enemy, turn the other cheek." He didn't do that. He didn't do that. He showed a little more, let's just say, self-respect. And but unfortunately, you know, religious wars can become the bloodiest. There's a fervor there, and again, once they take care of their stated enemy, they start looking around and say, "Huh." It's like the Me Too movement, guys. Once they got the big Kahuna, Weinstein, they're like, "Oh shit, who else is there?" Well, there weren't many, and they started making up stuff, and that's I think with the Crusades of all, like the bloodletting was going, and they're like, "Okay, we're in the middle of this. We're in the middle of this blood." You know what? Those Jews are, doing this, and those guys aren't really that Christian. And let's try to make them so, and so on. And then it died naturally. I think a natural death. Still, it's a long time, 200 years, but don't dare compare anyone to the Crusades, to the jihads. Never-ending, 1,400 years old, and in complete sync with the ideology that motivates it. Whereas Christianity, there's nothing in there that says you must, battle, and if they sack your areas, you must take it back with strength and start killing others who aren't, you know, devout. No. So maybe that's my short take. A little longer than I thought. So Pork Hunt says, "How did you like Paul Smith's art on Uncanny X?" I liked it. I liked it a lot. Very different than Cockrum, and I think at that point it was a much needed difference. I didn't necessarily care for Cockrum too much, and especially his comeback. Even though I will say I liked Joe Rubinstein's inks on it. I like Joe Rubinstein's inks. I hated it at first. I thought it was too brushy, too artsy, and but it has a real nice look to it. And he gave he gave Cockrum a nice sheen, a nice look. But Paul Smith, yeah, he came strong with a very, very unique style, an animator style, like a Alex Toth designing all those Super Friends cartoon style. Very interesting. That issue or two that he had with Wolverine and Rogue in Japan was awesome. It was awesome. It was, I think, happening right about the same time as the Wolverine series that Frank Miller drew for Chris Claremont. I liked it a lot. And then John Ray Jr. started 10 years later. I think he had a very short run. Paul Smith, issue 175. I think he started at issue 160 something, and in 175, he drew half of it. John Ray Jr. drew the other half, and John Ray Jr. did what his father did, which is try to not make a great transition from Ditko when he started the Amazing Spider-Man. Romita, he tried to make it look like Ditko a little, even though he's very, 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 very different artist. John Ray Jr. was trying to, I think, mimic Paul Smith. He shouldn't have bothered. I think just do your thing. Paul Smith didn't do that with Dave Cockrum. I mean, we're talking about night and day, the difference. So, but you know, Bob Wyacek inked Paul Smith, and then he also inked Romita Jr. for the issue or two after Paul Smith left. So I like Paul Smith. Very different, very different, but good. Very fluid. His art, simple, stylized, very very stylized, very nice. Poor cunt. Did you notice Shooter and Lapham's Schism Kickstarter didn't reach its funding goal and is relaunching? I didn't know that. It's so funny. Someone in the chat told me about that a little while ago, and I think I tried to find it. I'm not sure if I found it. It didn't reach its funding goal. You know what? Look, man, guys. I'm here. I'm a independent artist. I'm part now of Comicsgate. I'm part of the Comicsgate Kings. I'm still gonna try to outwork this. I'm still gonna try to go out there every night. Do you know if those guys put it out there and said, okay, all right, guys, come get it? Or are they campaigning for it? These are crowdfunding campaigns. You know, you have to put in the work. It's important to remind people to go out there, to care. You know, I care about getting us out there. I want more and more backers. I want as many as possibly can get. I want backers who, you know, dismiss it and say, well, you know what? Okay, he said something that makes sounds interesting now. We'll see. If that's the case, that's not good to hear. And if they didn't put in the work on their own channels or whatever, like Shooter and Lapham, you know, you can't just throw your name out there and say, okay, guys, come get it. No, it's not that one shot. You got to keep going and going and going and going. I'm spending money on ads, on super chats. I'm trying to get, you know, the word out. I want it to be as big a campaign as I can make it. Brian Suddenly says, I might have my years mixed up, but it was when I saw Infidel in person at a shop. Yeah, I mean, I had never had it in comic shops, even though maybe what I used to do sometimes, which is funny, like call it what you will, but I used to actually give sometimes my comics, leave them on shelves in bookstores and comic shops. Table for One, I think The Infidel. I thought it was funny, just, you know, I'm not going to get in comic shops, so it's a free comic to give. Maybe someone's going to look at it. And for Table for One, it did have a barcode, and issue 1 of The Infidel did have a barcode, the first one. And then the rest, I say, you know what, no barcodes. I'm not going to get to comic shops. And even when I contacted Steve Leaf from Diamond, who was my contact at Diamond for a few years for Table for One, he basically discouraged me from doing it, a comic, and I wouldn't make a profit, basically, he was saying. And he's right. From what I gather, they take a chunk of that. And I don't remember at the time, but they did take a chunk. The ad was pretty expensive. But I was just happy to have it out there. I just wanted it out there. I wanted it in comic shops. And it got around in comic shops a lot globally, to the point where I got letters from France and Italy and other places, Israel, which is really, really nice. And I naively asked him, I said, hey, can you give me the shops, the name of the shops who order my comic? I want to gift them something. Oh, no, no, we don't do that. I'm like, why? And I realize, okay, yeah, of course, then I wouldn't need them. You know, pretty funny. Um, call it naive. So yeah, Brian, it's possible maybe it was a shop that I just left one of my comics there. I doubt it, but it sounds funny. Or maybe some comic shop owner had it, bought it himself. I wouldn't be surprised. Comic shop owners usually love comics, or they wouldn't run a comic shop. Um, SXS. I was asking about the Spider-Man cartoon, the CGI Disney Plus one. It didn't look great. I know, and everyone said it looks like shit, and it's SJW. Yeah, there's truth to that. I like the style. I like the simplicity. I like the movement of the characters. It's something. It reminds me of rotoscoping, like the Snow White thing. It's not as good as that clearly, but there's something about the naturalistic moves. Peter's Peter Parker. He is Peter Parker. He's like he clashes with, I think, the others. He's like a throwback, and he's drawn well. He looks like Peter Parker. He sounds like him. He acts like him. Spider-Man's cool. He's strong. They do play that up also, which is awesome. I like. And if you can swallow some of the bullshit, the clear bullshit, you might enjoy it. So I like it. Maybe you guys won't, but I do. I watch it with someone, and we're both like, okay, definitely want to continue. I think it's gonna have a second season for sure. And it was really cool having Daredevil in there as voiced by Charlie Cox. I thought that was really cool. Art says, Bosch, forgetting the context of chat will never get old. I know, man. I know. Hamilton says, I've heard Bloodwooth is this new horror comic. That's right. That's right. Flady One, Dog Soldiers, a great underrated werewolf flick. I tried to watch it not that long ago, and I think Mr. H mentioned it. I don't know, man. I don't know if I finished it. It's only so much not showing the beast. You got to show it at some point. Maybe they do later on. I don't know. I know that they have flashes of the werewolf in America Werewolf London, but it's enough where you're like, holy shit, this is a massive beast here. He's really ferocious, brutal. I mean, when you first see him, jump onto Jack and he's just tearing him apart. It's wild, wild. But yeah, I love the werewolf creature. Great movie creature, and Robert Eggers is making a werewolf movie next year. I'm gonna be there. I'm definitely gonna check it out. Curious. Werewolf by Night. Marvel made like a TV thing about it. It was one of their better showings, black and white, and then the makeup sucked. It sucked. Hardly any hair on the guy on his face. A regular nose. No, make a snout. Just make a snout, guys. Do it. Find a way. Do it. Make it pop up a little. I don't know, something. If you can do that with Lon Chaney to some extent, make it look like a real snout, make it look really cool. You can do it today. Just laziness. And then you have this stupid the Wolfman movie that just came out. The trailer, no. And then they showed some stuff. Terrible, terrible special effects. And it could have been good just by the fact that you have a husband, a father with his wife and daughter, and they're stuck somewhere, and the danger there. It's a pretty good dramatic setup for a horror movie. It's a horrific thing to have to be turning into a werewolf, and you got your daughter and your wife there. They could be your victims. The setup's pretty good, but no, didn't bring me there. Porkhunt says, okay, sorry. Fleetwood says Hyde Street is turning out to be a decent horror suspense comic, in my opinion, and Snowman is an amazing horror action comic. Hyde Street, if you could tell me who that's from, Flavor. I don't. Did I hear that? Did I hear about that? It sounds familiar. I'm just not sure. Snowman, from what I gather, is really good. Yeah, I think Matt Martin just followed me the other day, so I followed back, and it looks really cool. I definitely gotta check that out. I guess in the secondary market, I guess eBay they might have something. And didn't he launch? He just launched, I think, part two. All right, guys. Two guys here follow up with Dog Soldier, so I'll finish it. I think it was available on Prime. I was able to catch it on Prime. The actor who played, I think, who played Alfred in the Gotham TV series was in there. And then the main actor, I forgot who he was. One of the main actors played in Rome, if I remember correctly. He played in Rome, the HBO series. Porkon says Gene Colan's Dracula was based on Jack Palance's appearance. Interesting. Fleet One says Batman Full Moon is decent. Is that a comic or does Batman himself turn into a werewolf? Remember Cap Wolf, guys? That was pretty bad. Mark Greenwald, Cap Wolf, pretty bad, man. And then they had a recent one also. The art was better, but it was Cap America turned to werewolf again. Happy's Funhouse says, I definitely love the horror elements of Daredevil Born Again, spooky stuff. I mean, unless you're joking, I think I know what you mean. Pariah, that cover with the cracked cover, terrified of every little thing. Matt Murdock, dreaming of kicking the Kingpin's ass and getting a parade for him, and the destruction of a man's mind in a lot of ways until he brings it all together and saves himself mentally, physically, and just Wu-Tang Clan. Thanks, Hamilton. One of the guys from Wu-Tang Clan and a British guy did a song called Giants, and I can't find it again. I try to find it after my music library got wiped out. That's worth it. It's a pretty strong song. It's again an alternative slash rappy song, and it's worthwhile. Flatty One says the mystery of chess boxing. The mystery of chess boxing. Is that a story, Flatty? A comic? Porkon says Christians were in Jerusalem before Muslims. They never left the Middle East, same as Jews. They were Mizrahi. Yeah, well, that's the thing. The Jews and Christians were here before Muslims in general, no matter what the Muslims pretend or say. They just were a long time before them. They would last, they would last a bunch. SXS, what are your thoughts on Bendis? Personally, I hate everything he's written. SXS, I got a comic of his. What was it? Hulk and Spider-Man Marvel team up, if I remember correctly. I ripped it up. So bad. So trying to be cool and trying to create its own language in a bad way. The crazy, I forgot how he used it. And then he did something really stupid in Ultimate Spider-Man comic where J. Jonah Jameson is talking to Aunt May. And a page or two, no joke, you only hear one side of the conversation. You hear J. Jonah Jameson, uh-huh, 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 mm-hmm, uh-huh, a page or two. I said, what an asshole. What a self-indulgent asshole. And then you open a comic book sometimes. That first page, you have literally 10 word balloons. He's telling it, just close it again. That's what he's telling the reader. Just close it again. Don't read this shit. He's an asshole. He's a presumptuous bastard also. He created Miles Morales, also Riri Williams for his black children that he adopted. I guess that's the case. And he shared with us that he cried when he saw them read the comic. He cried, because that's what it's all about. We have to make sure that Brian Michael Bendis feels good about making comics for his black children. That's what it's all about. It's not about the story. It's about making sure that he feels good, that his black children can feel represented. It's so pathetic. He's such an asshole. So yeah, I agree. I've never read a Bendis comic and said, wow, or said, pretty good. Never. He's terrible He is to writing comics what Rob Liefeld is to drawing comics. He shouldn't be in the business. I don't know. And it's interesting, right, guys? He was, I guess, the hottest writer for a time. He would go to DC and they try to do like a Kirby thing. Kirby is here, like Bendis is here, or something like that, right? Who? Who gives a shit? And then and then where is he now, guys? If you stand the test of time, you can still do something on your own. Meaning, if he was as good as everyone said he was, he could do some crowdfunding like crazy right now and make a kick-ass comic and still be good. I don't know where he's gone, but I don't want to hear from him. I think he sucks. I think he absolutely sucks. So I agree, SXS. Nothing. I've never the talking head stuff that he does. Oh my god. And also, Mark Bagley. I don't care for his stuff either, man. And some reason he turned into a talking head artist because of Bendis. You have literally pages of heads just speaking. Now, I got a lot of conversations in my current project. I'm trying to make it as visually interesting as I can. Silhouettes, pull back, go front, close-ups, and so on, angles, overhead, under, and so on. You got to make it interesting. And because the conversation is interesting, you have to make it interesting, guys. I'm going to do my pitch here right now, guys, and then I'm going to get back. Thanks for being here, guys. I really appreciate it. It is Saturday night, so I do appreciate it. Pigman #1, my anti-jihad comic book. It's not just anti-jihad, it's anti-Islam. And unlike the Wheelers, a piece of shit, say that I'm a racist, that I kill Muslims in my comics, Pigman hunts down jihadists. He hunts down Muslims who are devout to go jihad. That's who he hunts down. He doesn't hunt down your average Muslims. He doesn't do that. That's a lie. And also, if you can be born into Islam as I was, if you can be raised Muslim, if you can convert to Islam, criticism of Islam is not a racial thing. It's just stupid. It's not a race. It's ideology. It's a religion. So Pigman #1, the Islamic background of twins comes to the forefront of their lives on 9/11, which is echoed by the comic book within Pigman vs. Superchild. Excuse me. Just tap that. I am up to 186 backers, $12,200. And I have 4 different covers. The first cover is like more of a traditional superhero action comic cover. Pigman breaking the guy's neck, punching that guy to death, going after yellow as that guy's running for his life. The guy in yellow, he's Yeller. And even the guys with the guns, at least I try to convey that there were some lines there when they're like, even with the guns, they were terrified. One guy's pretending to be dead. He's playing dead. This one is Pigman in war paint, jihadist war paint. It's the most popular cover. This one is the main characters, the twins, and Pigman and Super Jihad. I still got to work out the color here. I like the design, but I just got to work out the color. I got to figure it out. I just got to take the time out and just sit there for a number of hours and just decide. I did it before, and it was blue, and it was this, it was that. It was a lot of different colors. And I said, okay, I think this is good for now, but I'll get to it. And then this is pure black and white. Pigman making a vow at the Twin Towers to end jihad. Nothing less than end jihad. Pigman hard index card drawing. I make these individual drawings like this one. This is how it is. This side, and it's rock solid. Rock solid. By the way, just speaking of this is my Muhammad cartoon. I have 4 more copies left of Peaceful Death Threats, the books where I collect. I have 2. I had 2 volumes. Volume 2 is out of print now. I have 4 copies left of Volume 1, and it's about 400 death threats in there, and I roast a number of them on the actual death threats, and I draw Muhammad cartoons alongside the death threats, and I publish them alongside them. And if you get a copy tonight, boxwalls.com, you can get this. I have one of these left over, so anyone who wants to do it, the first one to get it, you can get this. That I will just slip into the plastic cover. And then I sell all 4 covers at one. I have the digital copies up to 19. usually for European, overseas, Canadian customers, or just people who want to read it. And you guys will clearly get the first. You'll get it first after I'm done with the whole thing. The digital copies will be sent out first, of course, and then from there, all the rest. Pigman symbol T-shirt. For those who don't know, September 11th. A lot of other meanings, but that's the gist of it. It's a Twin Towers with a ribbon around it. This is the war paint print, 11 by 14. Signed. It's initialed and numbered. It's initialed and numbered. I want it all pack. You get all 4 covers, the Pigman index card, the trading card, which is below. It's called Submission Impossible. The print and the T-shirt. And then also Table for One, my first book. It's out of print now, and I'll be making a new print for this. Pages of Pigman, original art pages, and then the Pigman Commission, where I draw an original drawing of Pigman, black and white, and with an idea by you. And here's my preview art. Here's a video here. You guys can check it out. I tried to play it recently. The sound wasn't good. You say, guys, it sounded like an echo. There's a way to do it. I know there is. I'll get to it. I just don't know exactly yet. Sorry about that, guys. I just don't know. I'll figure it out. This is Pigman hovering over, basically just standing over Osama bin Laden. He catches him. Osama bin Laden's first response: "I'll shoot. I swear. Don't touch me." He knows about the pigs and leather. And if you look close, guys, if you look close, you can see there are flies going around the stinking jihadist. It smells like shit. And they're going all around him. Little details like that. I think it's fun. It's not obvious. Maybe even some of you who actually read it didn't notice that, which is fun. I'm going to show you something here also, guys, if you haven't seen it. So yeah, here's my preview. I think I have 9 pages preview. A pretty good taste of where it's going without giving away too much. And speaking of hidden things like that, which I think is hidden, I'm gonna show you something here quick. Let me pull this up. Table for One, my first graphic novel. Let's try to get that smaller. Let's see, guys, 1 second. Okay, I'm able to fit it on the screen. Okay. I just want to show you this. It's a funny thing, I think. There's a character called Kripnik Shvagul. He's from Bulgaria, as William says. And if you notice, he has a grease pit of a hair, right? His hair is really greasy. But if you look close, it's a silhouette of 2 objects. One there, one there. Nose, lips, puckered up with an ass. He's a waiter. He's in ass kiss business. And it's repeated throughout the entire book. Sometimes it takes different forms. Sometimes a woman comes in with big breasts and it changes to, and so on. Sometimes when he's in the actual act of doing it, it's a little drawn a little differently. Things like that. I think it's fun. I think it's real fun for me. And no one ever got it, which is also fun because it's like, that's just a bonus thing where if someone really can figure it out, they might get a real kick out of it. Those who read it and reread it, it'll always be rewarded. I think for anyone who rereads it, it's fun. Let me check out your comments, guys. Go back. There's Pigman. He sees Osama bin Laden. guys. Yep, Wu-Tang Clan, Hamilton. Flayed One, The Mystery of Chess Boxing. Comic books in codes. What did you think about the Carrie Nord art on Dark Horse Conan Comics? I liked it. I like Conan. Um, more or less buy anything Conan at a certain point. I liked it. Um, it wasn't John Buscema, clearly. It wasn't Roberto Della Torre, clearly, but I liked it. I think they went straight from pencils to color, I believe. I believe so. Um, it was fine. He did Daredevil for a bit as well. I think he was pretty truncated, though, if I remember correctly. Conan wasn't like a big guy. He wasn't a tall guy the way he drew him. Everything seemed a little shorter. His neck, his body, his shoulders. He didn't seem as big if I remember correctly. SXS. What's your favorite comics run? The ones that shot to my mind: Daredevil by Frank Miller, both when he wrote penciled and then when he wrote it, Daredevil Born Again, and X-Men, John Byrne. Those are the two that shoot. Does Dark Knight count? Maybe not. It's not a run. It's its own series. Walt Thompson Thor. Love it. Love it. Ditko Spider-Man. Man, that's tough. Something about Ditko Spider-Man is also has, well, I say Ditko Spider-Man, of course, it's Stanley's Steve Ditko, but Ditko did more. It was more his character than Stanley, and by that I mean this. Stanley said, here's a character called Spider-Man, and he gave it to Jack Kirby, and Jack Kirby came back with some kind of Captain America character, a big guy with like a swashbuckler looking. Stan was like, that's not it. Hey, Steve, what do you got? Steve Ditko came back with a slight figure, black eyes with the webbing all over the body, the webbing under the arms, the web shooters. That was his. Stanley didn't create that. He just says he just had the name. And then Ditko, I believe, at least from issue 10 on, he plotted it. So he plotted, penciled, and inked it, and Stanley added the dialogue. So I think it's more of a Ditko creation. It's something about that run. I don't know. It stays with you. It stays with me at least. It's so good. And it's generally funny when he roasts the bad guys. It's generally funny. And it's also, he's scared at times. He's scared when he gets his ass kicked by the Scorpion, Sandman. And the language also was so funny when Sandman says, I'm going to polish you up now. I find that stuff funny, man. Those are the ones that come to mind. John Byrne's X-Men. Of course, Chris Claremont, Terry Austin, but it was the Byrne factor. He was the big deal there in terms of he was co-plotting it as well for a while. He was a big factor in those stories. I love his FF run as well, no doubt. John Romita Jr. and Roger Stern, Amazing Spider-Man run. To me, it's second to Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. Second. Does the early Hulk run count, even though it's only 6 issues? Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and Ditko. So those are the ones that come to mind. SXS. There were a lot. I mean, then there were graphic novels, Watchmen. I got these books there, and limited series and whatnot. But in terms of runs, yeah, those are great. Those are great. Art says reverse shoplifting, guerrilla marketing. Reverse shoplifting. If you could fill me in, Art, you don't want to brought up the out of context thing, is damn. Brian Leol said the second half of Dog Soldiers has lots of werewolves. Okay, well, good. And I assume they showed them because the actors were good. The situation was pretty wild. I will finish it. Something about American Werewolf in London, though, the quality from top to bottom on every level. Interesting story, very unique, unlike any other one. before the funny is funny, the horror is horror. The makeup is outrageously good. The actors are good too. Very innocent. They exude that. Jack and David, the characters. SXS is High Street Ghost Machine. Is that the case? Fleety One, Jeff Jones, Ghost Machine line. So High Street is Jeff Johns. Is that the one you guys are talking about? And what is it exactly, guys? It's a horror comic. I think you said right. High Street, not Jekyll and Hyde. Is it something else? Curious. SXS, Rook Exodus. Rook is also really good. Fatbox, if that's how you pronounce it, are spectacular. It is. I mean, he's really good. Fleet One says it's a Batman comics miniseries, and yes, he became a werewolf. Okay. Thanks, man. I'm gonna jot that down quick, guys. 1 second, guys. Okay. Is it recent? I think I was at a comic shop. I looked at it. I didn't like the way it looked. I did not like the way it looked. So I didn't go for it. I think that's what it was. I think that's what it was, guys. I did not like the way it looked. Fleety One, The Mystery of Chess Boxing is a Wu-Tang Clan song. Okay. SXS, yeah, Bendis ruined Superman. He was Marvel's answer to Jeff Johns, except Johns has written good stories. Exactly. Johns has written good stories. Fleety One says Bendis on Iron Man is miserable. I'm so glad I missed that. I'm so glad. I can't stand seeing good, characters done dirty. I can't stand it. Hamilton is Friday night. Of course. Of course it is. Ah, I had a very different week, and I think I'm tired. You see me yawning here. That is so funny. John says the campaign looks great. In my humble opinion, we are getting there. Next step is figuring out how to invite a few guests onto your show. I got to figure that out. I don't know how to do that. I think I'll probably find a way to do it. I think I have options here where I can invite people, pressing the interview, turn on interview using the switch above and so on. So I could find out. I think it'll be easier, but just who would want to come on? I don't know. At this point, I don't know. Even guys who are on my side sometimes might be reluctant. I don't blame them. I'm used to being here alone anyway, but we'll see. I got some friends. I got some people who might be willing to. We will see. John says Table for One was also really excellent. I hope Table for Two, the sequel, is coming in the future. It's always been in the back of my mind, John, where Will ends up and how. A whole different situation where not in a restaurant or something to do maybe along those lines, but I'm curious. I could see revisiting that and black and white, trying to keep it consistent with that at least. SXS agreed. Bosch's art works well in black and white noir style. Thank you. Thanks, SXS. Appreciate it. Art says then maybe an Arthurian spin-off with a round table. Art says you mentioned leaving your comic in a shop. Yeah, leaving something in a store you're not supposed to, rather than taking something as reverse shoplifting. I'm sorry. Yes, funny way to market something. Yes, and it's funny because when I did that, clearly someone, if they found it interesting, pick it up, right? They assume they can buy it, and what happens is there's no okay. Some of the things did have barcodes. Again, a few of my comics did, but even would that work because it's not in their system. Now, Table for One was in Barnes Noble. I will say that. After a while, it was. So maybe I was going to maybe Borders or one of those stores. It eventually did get into Barnes Noble, but that was it. Pigman didn't. So yes, art. I should have thought of that. That's funny. Lady says, yeah, the Batman Full Moon art is really loose, and I wasn't a big fan of the art, but the story elevates the art. Okay. So that might be worth looking into because, again, a good story can survive art that's not that great. It definitely can. Again, I like Secret Wars too. Um, a god trying to become a man. I like that concept. I like the idea. I like Shooter. I like his stories. I like his writing. It could survive. To me, Milgram did nothing to elevate it, done nothing to really lift it. He really didn't. He's not that good an artist. He has the most awkward panels where a long panel, a short one, a short one with 10 characters in there fighting. It's really badly designed. It doesn't work. And he always has the awkward poses. His anatomy's okay. It's not great. The faces suck. Steve Lee Loha added a different look to it, at least. And I think he inked every single issue. I think Joe Rubinstein may have touched up one of those issues. But yeah, a good story is a good story. You can see through it no matter who draws it. But ultimately, you want art to live up to the story at least. All right, guys. I got no more comments here. I wanted this to be a chat. So I do appreciate everyone chiming in. Hamilton, you have a great night as well. I got to go to bed as well, guys. You guys take care, man. Be well. Thank you very much for being here. SXS, Shooter is brilliant. Marvel was never the same when he left. Never. SXS, never. He, his standards were high. He wanted it to be great. It wasn't by accident that the guys were producing the best work of their entire careers, from Miller to Byrne to Simonson to a lot of those guys. Just the best. I love Jim Shooter. I think he's all time great, and he's a lifer. 13 years old, he started writing, superhero comics. It's crazy. It's crazy. Good night, Brian. Good night, everyone. Hamilton, Flady, Art, SXS, John, um, Brian, Comic Books and Cahoots, Pork Hunt, Happy's Funhouse. You guys take care, man. Be well. And until next time, thanks, guys. Take care.